right. If you're a founder, a business owner, and a content creator, and you make money from content, or you manage and help somebody that is doing that themselves, then this video is for you. I'm going to show you in here how I was able to break my business partner free from content creation, where at one point he was doing content once to twice 1 hour to 2 hours per week doing content, and sometimes going months without filming, stepping in front of the camera, or anything like that, while still making over $1 million per year in revenue for almost 3 years straight now. And so I'm going to get into that. But before we get into that, I'm going to share a little bit about my story and how I was able to do that and my experience that led us to that point. And so first, if we're taking a look at this over here, I'm just gonna share it with you, a good old SOP, because that's just how I roll. That's how I train my team members and my clients. And so we're gonna break the founder free from the content department, whether you're helping them do that or you are the founder yourself and you're sick and tired of creating content and you want to figure out the solution. This video is for you. So I'm not gonna bore you with the details too much, but I once had a video creation agency. We were pumping about 100 to 150 long form videos per month for all our clients, which is about 3 to 5 long form YouTube videos every single day of the month. And even though that business flopped and it was not profitable because we undercharged, we were overworked, we hated the business, and we ended up dropping it after I think 4 to 6 months. It was a really, really great learning opportunity for team management, hiring and firing, creating SOPs and workflows, and not losing my sanity alongside of doing all of that work. And so it was really, really helpful for the next business. If we take a look at the next business, the starting point with that, my business partner already had some sort of a brand. He had 13,000 subscribers on YouTube. 7,000 of them were from an old brand that he once ran when he was 12 years old. He only had about 15 videos on there. It was about inactive for 6 months, but still had a decent amount of community and people that wanted to learn from him. His Facebook group, he bought a Facebook group that had 2.5K members in it. And we had an Instagram that was pretty dead with followers from his modeling days. And so at that point, we were wanting to build a consultancy on what we knew we were able to help people with, which was YouTube content creation and making money from it. And so I stepped in, and my business partner was way too busy and he didn't really enjoy the content creation aspect of it. And so I decided to take on that department myself. The results after 2 years, we grew to 180,000 followers. The Facebook group expanded to 13,000 members. The content, we created about 1,000 plus original pieces of content. And my business partner, Victor, didn't. Probably came up with 30 ideas or less. And it was still original. It was still coming from him. And it was still authentic because we built a system around it. And it was still him. And so his role was pure spokesperson. Everything else was automated. We put him in the place where he was most talented in, which is probably what you're most talented in, or your founder is most talented in, which is being the talent, being the expert, and being the person that people want to interact with. That is the highest leverage activity that you can do. And you need to maximize your time being there and not having to worry about the minutia of everything else that happens on the back end, so that people can see the talent perform. And so I'll share that exact system with you down below. But before we do that, I'm going to break a couple myths in the content creation space and what content creators and business owners are expected to do. And so you must constantly create content. While that is absolutely true, it's not the full truth. And so, yeah, quality content is essential for ROI and trust, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming. Like it can be very, very easy. The second thing is you must do everything alone to be authentic, and that's not true. You can be authentic while delegating most tasks. You be the face, you let your team handle the back end. Focus on what matters, showing up and sharing your journey. And if you do that with your team, then they'll be able to put everything together. And so what my partner didn't have to do, which you shouldn't have to do either. And if you're doing it, you have to replace yourself as soon as humanly possible and all of those things. And so that would be copywriting, that would be daily content ideation, video editing, content distribution, script writing, project management. It would be long form training creation. And this is where like most people would be like, yo, I need to create the long form because I'm the expert. Well, let me tell you something. I knew not much about YouTube, and I was the one creating the content for the expert when we started as a business. He was the expert. I was the right hand man, and I had to learn everything from him. But coming up with content and getting him to do the finishing touches, I spent an hour to 2 hours, 3 hours doing research, looking at everything, and then he would just look at it and approve it because he's the expert and he knows what works. He tweaked a couple things and then got in front of camera and made it sound like him. That's all he needed to do. So you don't have to do any of those things. What he actually did is, like I said earlier, showed up on camera, documented his journey, and let me know and our team know about it. He reviewed and watched the content that we posted on his behalf to make sure that it was aligned and there's nothing that was falling through the cracks. And then he shared live updates with the team and then monitored analytics. I did most of that anyways, but as you start, you're going to want to keep a pulse on that. And also maintaining brand alignment to make sure that it reflects his being and nobody else. Because again, it's a personal brand. You still need to make it relational with your audience. And if you don't keep a pulse on it, then they'll build a relationship with somebody else and there will be there's just going to be a mix up there and you don't want that. And so the result of that is just he worked about 1 to 2 hours per week and generated 1 million plus per year in revenue. And sometimes he didn't touch content or got in front of camera for months on ends because he was busy with other things and really you don't technically need to. And so I'm going to walk you through that right now on how to do that. And so here's the roadmap. Pillar number 1, what you need to do is you need to structure a team and you need to assign proper role definition. And so if you're watching this video and you're already doing a bunch of content, you probably already have a video editor. You probably already have somebody helping you in some sort of way. You need to build a more robust team to handle everything. And so you have your responsibilities, which is camera presence, live documentation, a little bit of brand involvement, and communicating with your team. Nothing else should be done on your side. Building the support team for content creation and distribution. The things that you're going to need in here is the following. You're going to need a video editor. You're going to need a copywriter. And then a content manager. However, the content manager can most of the time be either your copywriter and your video editor. If you're under 40K a month, you might have less resources. If you're above 50K a month, you might have more resources. And so depending on the threshold that you have and the budget that you have, video editors, a good video editor will go from anywhere from like $800 to $1,500 a month. You could pay somebody $2,500, but we paid some dude $500 a month and he was crushing everybody that we paid $2,000, $3,000 a month for. And so you just have to do proper talent acquisition and go through enough dirt to find the golden nugget. Copywriters are a little bit more expensive, especially if you want them to write in your voice. ChatGPT and bots are really helpful with that now, especially if you journal every day and you write content and you transcribe it and you feed it to a GPT, they're going to be able to speak in your voice really, really quickly now. And so you don't need that as much anymore because AI does it for you. However, you want to invest a little bit of money in that. And then the content manager that is going to be making sure that is posted across all platforms and also that engages with everybody on each platform to increase engagement, to increase community, and increase buy-in. You can split that up with your setter, your appointment setter, if need be, or you can have them both separated because at scale, if you want to scale to 7 figures, you want a player that does one job and focuses on that one job and does it 100% than somebody that juggles 3 things because they're not going to be able to just grow any of the departments or the activities because they're doing everything and they're strapped with time, therefore cannot master anything. And so that is the first thing is you got to understand, you got to get the right team members in place so that you can remove yourself. The second pillar over here is content management. And so you need a content management system. We use Notion. I use Notion. We used to use Trello for a very long time. However, Trello is a little bit limited. Notion, you can build so many crazy views to not only just track your projects and get them posted, but you can also track your analytics from there with so many different views to be able to find what is working and what is not, and to adjust your team performance, hire, fire the people and everything. I highly recommend Notion. And so you would need to set that up ASAP. If you don't do that at scale, posting 3 to 5 posts per day or 3 posts per day with 3 to 4 to 5 people involved in the process, if you're trying to do 100k months, 200k months, 300k months and pump out a lot of stuff, you don't want to work off of memory in Google Docs. That's just a recipe for failure and disorganization. And so then you want your content generation process. And so there's 4 different idea generating methodologies that you can use. The number one that I would advise you to do is reversing the content game and starting with fulfillment in mind. And so with your clients, you talk to your clients every single week, every single day, and they are your bread and butter. Yes, they already paid you high ticket $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. And the biggest mistakes that coaches in high ticket agencies and high ticket services are going to do is to focus on chasing the next client rather than focusing on the clients that they already have and monetizing them on the back end. That's going to be for another video, because we don't have time to get into how to monetize the back end of your clients. But if you start with the end in mind, which is fulfilling on the promises you made to your clients and wowing them every single month and increasing the value that you give to them, not only they're going to renew, give you more money and tell their friends about it, but you can also take that content and repurpose it and reformulate it with your team to share on your free platforms. And if you do that correctly, then people are going to be able to look inside of what's happening in your community and what it would look like if they paid you for your services. And also, you're going to double dip rather than having to choose between creating for your audience or creating for your clients, because we don't have a ton of time to do everything on a weekly basis. And if you can do both at the same time, you're going to just live a much more free and stress-less life, let me tell you. The second thing is cross-team collaboration for ideas. This is super important. You don't want your teams to not be communicating on a weekly basis. If marketing does a great job, your setters are winning, your closers are winning, and your fulfillment team is winning, because the message is the same across the board. If your marketing is saying something that your fulfillment cannot fulfill on, you're in big trouble. If your marketing is giving certain promises that your clients are also watching, but they aren't true, you have a big problem on your hands. If your marketing team is focusing on engagement, but it's not generating money and appointments for your appointment setters and closers, they're in big trouble. Your team can help each other to make the market. Your team can help your marketing do a 10 times better job if they just communicate with them. And so you need to build a system where they communicate. So your setters can tell you what generates the most appointments. Your closers tell you what the common objections of the clients have, so that your marketing team can start building content around handling those objections before they even come on a call. And then your fulfillment, just make sure that everybody is saying the right things so that they can uphold the promises on the back end. Then market research and analytics, you want to build a dashboard of all your biggest competitors and the people that are winning in the space, the people that are being innovative in not just your niche and your sub niche, but also in your industry, where everybody is competing for the same eyeballs, for the same attention, selling different things. You want to have a plethora of those things so that when you're running out of idea, you can just go to what the market is doing and what is winning in the market, and taking some of these ideas and making them your own, and generating ideas from there so that you're always ahead of the game, not behind. And then authentic storytelling is super important. And this is where you, the founder, need to build a system, a journaling system, so that your team knows what's going on in your business life and sometimes even in your personal life, so that they can take things from your personal experience and writing on it through storytelling. And that piece right here is what is going to make your content authentic. It's what's going to make people connect with you because they are following your story. And it doesn't have to be much, but if you can have daily prompts on what happened during your day, things that you've learned, challenges that you've overcome, challenges that you ran into, and even writing out potentially some client issues and struggles that you've ran into that you need to fix, then at the end of the week, your team can look at all these things and they have like 10, 15 content ideas that they can pick and choose 1 to 2 to 3 from there, and they'll be able to storytell for the rest of your career for you rather than you having to do it yourself. And you already know these stories, so you don't need to learn them. If they tell you what story you need to tell, you can just go off the riff in your videos. And so distribution strategy, you can leverage something like repurpose.io for your short form, and then a dedicated manager that focuses on posting everywhere and keeping the engagement up. Repurpose.io is one of few platforms that actually work, that keeps your engagement up. There's other platforms that if you use them, they will completely just ruin your engagement and even your impressions. But this one has worked for many influencers, including one that I know personally that has gone to 4 million subscribers using that platform. And so you are safe with that. And so the next thing over here, pillar number 3, is quality control and analytics. Weekly performance review is really important. One of the things that I've learned in my journey is if you're not looking at the performance of your employees, they will not look at it either because they know you're not looking at it. They will neglect it, and that is not good. And so they need to know that you look at their analytics and their performance on a weekly basis so that they can keep personal accountability on making sure those stats go up and get even higher. And so you want to look at your cost per acquisition tracking. How much does it cost you based on your marketing department to acquire new clients every single month? Then your return on ad spend monitoring. And so based on how much you're spending on ads, how much is actually coming back. One of the biggest helpers of increasing your ad spend is your organic, because people normally don't buy on the first touch point. They normally need 5 to 10 to 15 touch points before they consider buying and getting on a call with you. And this is where, if you're pushing ads, then you want to make sure that people are nurtured by your content on a daily basis, and have your sales team also hit them on the back end to get them into appointments to maximize your return on ad spend. And if you only rely on ads, 3 to 4x, 4 to 5x is like pretty good. But if you also push your organic with that, then your whole marketing department with your ROAS should be 5, 10, 15x. We've gone even to 19x in the past, taking those strategies. And so then you want to look at your growth metrics to make sure your community and your engagement with the people that are listening to you remains high. But that doesn't always mean that you're making more money. And so these 2 metrics up above are a lot more important, because you could have there's a lot of influencers that have high engagement but really poor wallets, because growth and engagement metrics don't mean anything. What means something is the amount of money that comes into your pockets based on the trust that you've built with the few people that are going to buy from you. And so you want to do that daily and weekly with your team with end of day reports. And so they just track the right metrics that you need to make sure that they are performing at the rate that they're performing. If they go under that is when you're getting on a call with them to see what the problem is and how they can fix it. And if they can't fix it, this is when it's time to replace them. And so the next thing is making sure the brand consistency is always on point on a monthly basis. You need to participate a little bit in that. Otherwise, you'll end up a year or 2 years down the road with a very inauthentic brand, because you never shared with your team what was going on with your life and who you are and how you speak and all that stuff. And so you still need to keep a pulse on that. And then cross department alignment needs to be checked in. I already touched on that earlier, and so I'm not going to be beat the dead horse with that. But with all of that, if you apply these 3 pillars, this is everything that you need to build a content team that at one point, as you train them and as you give them more and more feedback, at one point they will get it. And you, as much as you're still gonna pay attention to them and keep a pulse on them, you're not going to have to do it every single day, every single week. As long as the metrics are good and you look at your dashboards and the dashboards are looking good and the money is still flowing, you can focus on giving more value to your clients, doing the things that you love, and enjoy your life and be free from this specific department. And so hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, subscribe. You can like it as well. But just go apply, go make some money, free yourself, get your time back. And if you do that, that's my win on this end. And so hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.